Hey everyone, my name's Mike Demaro, and I want to do this special video for all of you because I know that, you know, it's just been kind of crazy the past few days, and you're wondering, where am I right now? I'm still up in Agawam, Mass, and I'm planning on taking off tomorrow, March 10th. But, I want to do this special video, and it's probably going to be on my podcast too. And I call this Torn Between Two Homes. Now, what does that mean? Torn between two homes. Well, where did I get the name? I got the name from a song that Maureen McGovern did in the 1970s called Torn Between Two Lovers. So, while I was up here, I was thinking, I'm torn between two homes. I'm torn between this house that I grew up in Agawam and my apartment in Orlando, Florida. And it's just, it's crazy to think that I could be torn between both homes. You know, there are benefits of being here than it is in Florida, and benefits of me being in Florida than they are here. And that's what I want to try to explain to you guys all about here. You know, no matter where we go, the weather in the summertime can be hot. No matter where we go, the weather can be cold in the wintertime. But speaking of the weather, you know, Massachusetts, we dare snow. Most winters you see snow here, and it's cooler up here than it is in Florida. Yet in Florida, during the summertime, you'll see humidity, you'll see hot, you'll see hazy, you see 90s degrees and all that, and those uncomfortable summer nights to sleep, you know, where you have to have the AC on all day and all night and all that. Whereas here, it does get hot here, yes, in Massachusetts, but there are days that it'll be pleasant, it'll be nice weather, and you can open the windows. That's how it is in Florida during the fall and the winter and early spring, too. There are some days where you can open the windows and let some fresh air in so you don't have to run the air conditioner, right? So, I mean, it is something that I guess is a pro and a con to everything. But I just don't know. And I spoke about it back on episode 313, I believe, of Mike's Mission Podcast Show, where I was almost thinking of wanting me to move back up here again. But then again, would I be happy? Would I be safe? I just don't know. Because I feel happy and safe, and I need to be home. Home needs to be where it's happy and safe, not to think about the possibility. You know, yes, when I'm in Florida, I do watch the news from Western Mass, and I do watch all that stuff and everything else. Yes, I do. But it's just hard for me to, you know. But the next thing is friends and family. Most of my friends and family live up here. I do have friends and family down in Florida too. I have cousins who live in Ave Maria. I have cousins who live in Summerfield, in that area near Ocala. And then I have my parents who snowbird between both Florida and Massachusetts, with them spending January and February at their house in the Florida Keys. Whereas I am in Orlando, and it's just, I know I do have friends, but my closest family is like 2 hours, 3 hours away. We're here in Mass. My closest family is like 2, 3 miles down the road. So I don't know what to tell you. But, also, there's a lot of events that go on in both places. Like in Florida, you have the Florida RV Super Show in Tampa, which you see me at every year. And then you also have Nathaniel's Hope Make 'em Smile event every May. Then you have the Family Cafe, which is every June. And then you also have some events here and there and all that, but those three are the main events that I look forward to every year in Florida. Whereas here in Massachusetts, you have the Springfield RV Camping and Outdoors Show, which is the reason why I come up here each and every February. Then you have the camping club campouts and all that. So I mean, it's just hard to choose. You know, I want to be a snowbird someday and come up here during the summer for a few months and just sit back and relax and enjoy life. Go camping and enjoy the fresh air up here and everything else. But, I'm stuck in Florida where it's hot all the time and it's kind of hard, trying to find a place to go swimming or a place to cool off and everything else. And, I want to travel more. And trying to do my 50 state Uber mission is hard enough because it's like I'm trying to get that done, but am I reaching the right people? Am I reaching the right companies? Am I reaching the right audience? You know, I'm lucky enough to be in the RV and autism communities and disability communities too. You know, it's just, do I have more ties with Massachusetts than I do with Florida? That's the thing. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to do this or that. I'm just trying to observe and weigh my options as they are, you know, and where is the best place to be? You know, but the past few days have been like trying for me because I'm like, do I really want to be here again? Do I really want to live here again? There are pros and cons, okay? Pros is this house is safe and I feel safe here. And my parents own the house. But the cons are when my parents are here, then I feel like they're going to be bossing me around and all that. Where I want to have my own life too, and that's kind of sad. I do love living my own life. Maybe one of the reasons why I love living in my apartment in Florida, I guess. I don't know. So, you know, it's just, I'm struggling right now to try to figure out, is this the place I want to live or is Florida the place where I want to live? Is living in the same roof with mom and dad again beneficial or not? You know, it's just hard to think that and to know that. And I know that this video is probably not making sense to you all, but I'm trying to make it sense so that you guys know how I feel and everything else. And, before I head back down to Florida, where I belong. But, yeah, it's just hard to think of it and hard to do it. It took me forever to want to get ready to go, want to leave here to head back down south. Because of the love and support and everything else of my family. Dad wasn't feeling well mentally. I had an appointment with my psychiatrist today, and I explained it to him about how I felt too. So, it's just hard. It's just overwhelming to think about it and to get ready to go back home to Florida and all that. You know, Uh, and, if I were to live up here, I have a feeling that my podcast could be less and less and less. You know, whereas I live in Florida, I would be able to do more episodes and everything else. You know, but I want to also say that every year I go to Washington D.C. or attempt to go to Washington D.C. That is, and go to the Autism Speaks Advocacy Forum in Capitol Hill Day. I don't know how this year's going to work out because I think I might be on the waiting list for that, but I don't know. I just haven't heard back to see if I am on the waiting list or what. And I'm sorry that I didn't fill out my info in time and sign up in time, but at the same time, I was like trying to raise the money so I can go. And I've been having a real hard time raising the money to go. And it's people like me that need to go to Washington to speak about our life in our community. It's our community. We invite people to join our community, that is. And as a disability self advocate, I should be more on my game, you know? But yeah. But every April, or not every year when I go, one of the appointments is for Congressman Richard Neal. And then one of the appointments is for Congressman Maxwell Frost. Why is that? Neal represents my hometown area here in Agawam, whereas Congressman Frost represents my home area in Orlando. Why do I see them both? Well, I see them both because, you know, it impacts a lot in my life, whether it's here in Massachusetts or down in Florida. Whatever they do in Washington, D.C., affects us on a local level. And I know that I'm saying this because I know that it's a true fact that people, it's people sometimes don't think, sometimes they don't look before they act or say they want to do this or that or whatever to change the way of our country is, you know? But it is an interesting fact, and I am talking to all you guys right now and talking to you guys on March 9th from Massachusetts when I should be in Florida right now, you know? But as you know, like I've said, it's just been taking over me for like the past few days and whatever, you know? I was supposed to be on the road like maybe a couple of weeks ago, even last week to be the latest. But for me to be on the road not until March 10th of this year is like there must be something going on with Mike. Yeah, a true fact is 2 years ago, back in 2024, I was supposed to be going up and being here until March 16th. I was supposed to arrive on February 9th and be up here until February 16th. Or, no, not February, March 16th, excuse me. But due to a problem with my car in St. Augustine, I had it towed up to Jacksonville. That killed a week. And I was not going to be able to drive all the way up there then. So I had to, thanks to my sponsor, I was able to fly up to Massachusetts. And then thanks to my sponsor, I was able to go up to Washington, D.C. for the advocacy forum. And that was also my 40th birthday. So, I mean, yes, God has a way of telling me that I'm like, I need to do this or I need to do that. Yes, I get that. And I know that at the same time, we can believe in what's going on in this world. And, you know, but yeah, if the trip 2 years ago would have gone as planned, I would have been up here until the 16th of March and then be down in Washington, D.C. until like maybe the 21st and then be home in Orlando on the 23rd of March or 24th. You know what I mean? But I guess it didn't work out that way, and I feel bad. And just what happened. Uh, Anyways, I know that it can be hard choosing where you want to go home or where you want to call home. Well, Agawam is my hometown, even though I live in Orlando now, and it's just it's just difficult to think about that, and difficult to wonder, where should I be? Where should I call home when all I want to do is just be on the road? Yes, I need a place to call home, but I feel happiest when I'm on the road. I just don't know. You know, I'm trying to work with some of these RV content creators and RV manufacturers to try and see if I can get a camping van or something, live in that, and travel around the country and speak with people with autism, make a difference in our lives. You know, I submitted my proposal to speak at 3 conferences for next month, but unfortunately, each of the three declined my offer to speak. And it feels kind of sad for that because I really wanted to add the states on my Uber Eats mission. And the, now that opportunity is not going to be happening for this time around. So I'm digging hard, trying to find RV companies, autism companies, disability companies to help me out. And it's just real hard to help me out, you know. And, you know, I know that this is supposed to talk about the differences between both my home in Agawam, where I grew up, and the home that I live at in Orlando. But yeah, you know, spending the extra time up here really gave me a thought of also exploring places that I had not been to in years. Like I had not been to Brattleboro, Vermont in maybe 5 years, maybe longer. Keene, New Hampshire was like 5 years. It wasn't since the 4th of July back in 2021 that I was in Keene, New Hampshire. It was the last time I was in Keene. So, I mean, Brattleboro, I don't know when the last time I was there, but, going up there and seeing all that for the first time in quite a while was a treat. And to work in those two states for the first time in 5 years was amazing as well. And then the next day, I took a trip to Sturbridge, where I went to the barbecue restaurant where I haven't been there for like 10 years. And then I ended up going to Providence, Rhode Island, where I had not been in Rhode Island for 5 years. Not since 2021, December of 2021, you know? So, I mean, to work there too is amazing. Well, I worked there before, but I mean, to go back there and work there again is like craziness, you know? And then me going up to Worcester too, you know? It's just remarkable how things have changed and how life has changed too, you know? Well, no matter where you live, there's going to be changes in life. Like, for example, there's going to be a Whataburger near where I live in Florida now. They're talking about building one down the road from where I live, you know? And that chain is mostly based in Texas. And then I hear news on Jack in the Box coming over in the Castleberry area. That'd be cool to see that again, you know? And then Bojangles is making a return to Central Florida too. I just don't know where. But I think I saw one of the locations when I was making a delivery at some point. It's just things change. Like even now, when I come up to Massachusetts, there's like something that has changed almost every single time I come up here. Like years ago, we wouldn't have a Popeyes in Chicopee or Holyoke. Now we have them. And then Five Guys, West Springfield, Westfield, Enfield. Think about this. It's just now we have them. And then to think Chick-fil-A is coming to West Springfield. That's another change. Seven Brews. That's another change right there. And they have a restaurant, Seven Brews, in the near where I live in Orlando. So I mean, it's just weird on how things change. And then now you have Jersey Mike's all over the place in Massachusetts. Hadley has one. I think Enfield, Connecticut has one. So I mean, it's amazing on how things do change, no matter where you live. So you have to embrace those. You know, it's just life does change, and for me, I just don't know what will make me feel happy, whether living here in Mass or living in Florida. So I mean, I struggled with the fact in the between time of both of my Florida residencies, but you know, all I wanted was to go back to Florida and work at Disney World again and all that. But now I don't work at Disney World anymore, but I have opened up new doors for the RV community. Whereas I go to the Florida RV Super Show each and every year, and then I go to other places around the state and all that. So I mean, in a way, it is kind of nice to know that we have this wonderful area that we call home. But is home really the place to be no matter where you are? It should be where you feel happy. So I just don't know. So I'm going to evaluate my life for sure and see if my place in Orlando is the place I feel happy or is up here feel happy. The only concern I have is, will I be able to still travel across the country? No matter where my home base might be, no matter what time of year it is, and everything else. You know, just something I need to think about. And I'm glad I'm doing the thinking now instead of later. And I want to be the one who makes the choice, not anyone else. So I hope you guys understand, and thank you so much for hearing me out on this and for being patient with me. It's just, I don't know. It's a scary time to think about it, but we all do it. We all need to think about our life once in a while. And I know that life can be confusing at times, but I know that together we can get through this. And choosing the best option is the best way to go. You know, Um, I want to thank everyone for watching my video or hearing this on my podcast. I know I'm probably going to do a bonus episode of my podcast about this, and I'm probably also going to feature it on episode 315 or 316 of Mike's Mission Podcast Show, which you can catch on Spotify, by the way. So thank you so much, everyone. Please pray for me that things will work out no matter where I want to live and no matter who I get to hang out with and everything else. Thank you so much, everybody. And pray for me that I make it back home to Orlando safely.